Has your mother told you what it means to be a woman?
Are you beautiful?
I am a doomed man.
Imagine living in a town where your grandfather is a priest who becomes incarnated. Please be advised that there will be spoilers ahead of this video, so chill out and enjoy it as I narrate it for you. The film opens up with a girl named Sam speaking about a loved one she remembers as she watches a boat approaching the dock. The revelation of this film is that Liz is mute and lives a simple life with her daughter Sam in the Wild West. She does the midwife work along with her daughter because someone else does the translation for the family members. Ellie, the new husband after the death of his wife, married Liz and has an older son, Matthew, whom he teaches how to shoot the gun. Liz does not like the idea because the boy is too young, so she angrily asks him to stop it, but Matthew ignores her because she is just a woman and not a mother to him. Liz hears everything, though she carries on with her work. All the folks in this town head to church the next day for service. Liz and her family tend to be in attendance as usual. However, she gets surprised the moment she just hears a new priest's voice warning the congregation about the false prophets, and he's the shepherd dog who brings back the lost lambs. This sounded familiar to Liz, who became more terrified because she already knew this town's new priest. Liz watches in horror as the Reverend touches pregnant Abigail's stomach during their farewell. Liz runs to the carriage and waits for her spouse and kids, just to avoid crossing paths with the priest. Ellie questions her public manners after he informs Liz that the priest is just new in town and doesn't know anybody, so he would expect a little more compassion from her. As soon as Abigail cried for help, Liz knew that her delivery time had come. The town folks bring the expectant mother into the church. Nathan, her husband, asks Liz to offer help to his wife. After chasing every busybody from the church, Liz notices the baby's head is too big. Abigail couldn't push it out. They must decide between delivering the child or saving the mother's life due to the child's head being too large to pass. Liz chooses to save Abigail. Nathan gets irritated when he learns that his newborn son is dead. They arrive home, but Liz remains affected and continues to feel Abigail's pain. Liz holds the priest responsible for the girl's sorrow and agony, believing that he's Satan incarnated and cursed. Liz and her daughter decided to visit Abigail at Nathan's house the following morning to find out if everything was alright, but an enraged Nathan stopped them from entering his house. Nathan accused Liz and her daughter of murdering his son. In addition, he doesn't need their help anymore since the Reverend has pre-arranged for the doctor to treat his wife. Sam greets the folks on their way home, but they disregard her because everyone is still angry about her mother's decision to save Abigail. During the night, inebriated Nathan Gunn fires a shot through Liz's window glass. Still enraged, he demands to exact his retribution from Eli's wife for the killing of his baby boy. Before Eli shoots back to defend his family, the priest emerges on horseback from the woods to calm Nathan down and later orders him to get home. Despite Liz's request to not allow the priest inside her house, Eli goes on to bring him inside to have a drink as a compliment, thanking him for cooling down the situation. Liz hears everything the priest and her husband are talking about. Then Eli makes the decision to call her to join them at the table, but the priest already knows that Liz is standing behind the wall. He claims he came to punish Liz and accuses her of being a murderess. The priest left the moment Eli came back and noticed that Liz had been crying. Liz immediately begs her husband to take them away from this place as soon as the Reverend departs. He accepts, and he says he will take her away to his father's house as soon as he finds someone who will take care of their livestock. Matthew discovers that all the livestock have been killed when he visits the barn in the morning. Ellie believes, and it's evident that Nathan is responsible for this action. Matthew and his father learn that Nathan has left for the city when they visit his house to exact their retribution. Liz blinds Sam's eyes with a piece of cloth to prevent her from seeing the dead animals in the barn. The priest shuts and locks the door as soon as Liz enters the stable, leaving Sam defenseless and singing outside. He removes the cover from her face and takes her away. When Liz tries to leap through the window, she falls down and passes out. Liz informs the husband and son of what transpired when they get home. Eli, however, finds the daughter in the backyard unharmed. Sam tells her mother that the priest said she was cursed and she must be punished before being taken back to where she came from. Liz can't sleep that night, so she rides to the chapel at night to kill the priest. Surprisingly, she discovers her daughter's doll in his bed, and the priest isn't in the church. The priest enters Eli's home covertly before luring him into the trap by turning on the light in the barn. The priest, irritated by Liz's unwavering devotion to her husband, impulsively stabbed him with a knife. Liz and Matthew find the husband lying severely wounded on the ground. In order to end the suffering, he begs Matthew to drive the family to Grandpa's house and give the order for the son to finish him using his rifle. The priest sets fire to the house immediately when Matthew rides the carriage away, heading to his grandpa's house. During the exodus portrayed in this film, a little girl named Joanna walks barefoot and desperately in the desert until she collapses. A few moments later, the Chinese traders picked her up and rode her to Bismuth town. Here the Chinese traders sell the girl to the local brothel owner, Frank. Joanna is still too young to do prostitution, so Sally, Frank's old employee, is a personable woman. She persuaded him to allow Joanna to operate as an attendant while providing protection for her. One evening, the customer Eastman pays Frank and wants to spend some time with Joanna. However, Sally comes in time to divert his attention by playfully sitting on his lap and offering herself instead to protect Joanna. He accepts it, but the condition is that Joanna has to watch. Joanna sits back and watches, but Eastman is acting cruelly against Sally. Joanna gets itchy and pulls a handgun on Eastman. It irritates him even more the moment he acknowledges that she's too scared to pull the trigger. He goes to Joanna after dismantling Sally, but Sally saves her when she shoots her nasty customer. The following morning, the authorities publicly execute Sally, and Frank falls in love with Joanna as she has grown into an adult. Time passes, and now Joanna is still working in Frank's saloon, but she exhibits gentle behavior, always shielding her closet friend Elizabeth, and they're like sisters. The girls go outside one day to witness Frank and one of the girls' fathers engaging in a duel. The father of the beauties eventually becomes the victim of the brothel owner by cheating. That night, Elizabeth forbade her customers from kissing as part of her principles, but the customer insisted on it, so Elizabeth bit the man's tongue as a consequence of his actions. The man started to demand his retribution and argued that the brothel owner should be a fair judge. Frank, to maintain credibility, ordered the cutting of Elizabeth's tongue. The doctor healed Elizabeth's wound and provided her with the book on gesture language, and Joanna started to assist her in learning it. Elizabeth plans to eliminate Frank because of what he has done to her. Joanna and Elizabeth want to escape Frank's infernos. They came up with the idea to visit the matchmaker the following day and consented to marry Ellie, the widower, whose first wife passed away a few months ago. While Elizabeth and Joanna are collecting their money and packing their belongings, they learn about the wealthy man who paid the pile of cash to Frank and the entire brothel for the whole night. Frank warns them that he will severely punish anyone who ruins his customer's party tonight. Joanna finds out that he's the priest, then she approaches him wearing a mask but looks terrified of him. The priest touches her neck and decides to pick her among all the beauties. Joanna is horrified when she realizes that this unusual customer is actually her nasty father, from whom she has been running for some unknown reasons. She becomes more horrified when he comes closer. Elizabeth kills Frank before walking into the priest's room to injure the priest with a knife in an attempt to save her buddy. Unfortunately, he overpowers her and kills her to defend himself. Joanna uses the knife to kill him, and then she sets the brothel on fire. Following that, she visits the doctor and requests to cut off her tongue, but he declines her request, afraid of the consequences. Without his assistance, Joanna completes the procedure and walks outside to board the carriage, taking Elizabeth's identity to marry Eli in the photo with his son Matthew. The genesis of this terrible tale starts with two of the wounded soldiers, Samuel and Wolf, ending up being the only ones to survive the bloody battle for gold in the desert. Knowing that the others are dead, they resolve not to murder one another and ride their one horse to the closest town where little Joanna resides with her father, the priest, and mother, Anna. Joanna spies on her father in the hole while blaming Anna for Joanna's language. The priest criticizes Anna the following morning during the service congregation since she is the only one who hasn't seen any miracle visitation from God. Joanna notices that she is bleeding at night and feels pain in her tummy. She blows off the candle and spies on her parents after noticing the priest takes her mother into the barn. She watches as the priest strikes his wife as a form of discipline for her disobedience. In the morning, Anna finds her daughter attempting to clean the blood from her clothes and congratulates her on becoming a lady, which means she's ready to become a mother. The girl discovers two unarmed men who have stopped at her property to quench their thirst, but they collapse. Joanna takes the saddle along with a satchel full of gold, then chases the horse away before pulling them into the barn. Then she removes the bullets from their wounds out of covert concern for them. The priest acknowledges that their daughter has grown up and is developing abnormal interests in her. He forbids the wife from being near him when Joanna is giving him a bath, saying it's a woman's responsibility to look after her husband. Anna, during the night, discovers that her husband is not interested anymore in sharing the bed together, stressing that God has other plans for him. Anna caught her husband that morning glancing at their daughter, who was wearing the clothes. She calls him a sinner and a filthy pig. The priest beats the wife and then escorts her to the blacksmith, who places Anna's mask of shame. Samuel asks Joanna to give him a rope and kill Wolf while he's easing himself into the toilet to prevent him from killing them first. Joanna berates her mother throughout the church service for her lack of moral integrity by stating, "It would be better for Anna to die than to go through such humiliation." She accepts the daughter's point of view and hangs herself in the priest's presence. The priest calls the wife a sinner and condemns her to hell for disgracing his family with the abomination. The priest returns home blaming himself, then decides to punish himself for Anna's transgression. Joanna goes to the barn that rainy night to spend the night with Samuel, but he declines out of respect for him even though she's ready. The priest takes Joanna forcefully to the church that morning, where he intends to get married to her. First he coarsely wears Joanna's shame mask despite her fight against it. Samuel walks into the church with the gun to save Joanna, but the priest kills him before dragging Joanna to scold her with belts. The nasty father committed the abomination to his daughter that night, but very early in the morning, Joanna managed to escape the priest's grasp and ran desperately in the wilderness, and she has never returned since then. Joanna's retribution part starts when she's riding with her daughter and Matthew on a carriage to Eli's father. With the knowledge that the priest wouldn't let them go freely without a fight, Liz decided to ambush him with Matthew's weapon. She is prepared to shoot at the first sight of the approaching animal, but the horse has no rider on it. The family keeps riding in the snow. However, the priest kills Matthew the moment he walks back to check on the problem. Liz and Sam arrive at the old man's home in the evening. Recognizing that this is her fight, Liz grabs the weapon and heads out onto the balcony. The moment she hears the priest's voice calling her, Liz tries to aim at him, but the distance is too far to reach him. Then the priest emerges from his cover and blames Liz for all that has happened because she was not entirely patient. He informs her of his intentions to marry her daughter instead. Liz rushes inside to check on her daughter and regrettably discovers Grandpa's corpse, who was trying to escape. Liz tries to escape with her daughter through the window, but the priest pulls her back and strings her to the chair. He tells Liz the way he's going to treat her daughter and he's going to make her watch. He goes on to punish Sam. Luckily Liz unties herself. She tosses the lantern into the priest's garments before shooting him to put the evil man to an end. A few months later, Liz had already turned the late grandpa's home into a sawmill. However, Nathan, Abigail's husband, arrived at the boat. The priest sent him to serve as a deputy sheriff's aide after the county sheriff was shot. Immediately after his appointment as sheriff, Nathan uncovered a bounty on the notorious outlaw Elizabeth Grundy, a woman without a tongue. Following Liz's arrest, she couldn't stand the pain of leaving her daughter, so she hurled herself into the lake the last time she saw her helping the carpenter. Liz drowns while the sheriff and his deputy fire shots into the water. Sam realizes her mother is no longer with her when she hears the gunfire. Several years have passed since adult Sam was married and had a child of her own. However, she still has memories of her mother as a strong, self-reliant individual. This brings the movie to an end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more of my videos. Have a good day.